everyone, what's going on? Today I'm going to show you what a dream team the Multi-Market Analyser and the IOSS section are. Now both of these sections of BuyBotPro are designed to give you more insight into costs and other important Amazon information in other marketplaces. Now if those options are open to us on Amazon, if we do sell in multiple marketplaces, it just makes sense to use these sections of BuyBotPro. Now just as a forewarning before we go any further, IOSS is only going to apply to you if you are a UK seller selling into European countries. If you're watching this as a US seller, you don't have to worry about the IOSS section, so feel free to toggle that off in your preferences. Speaking of preferences, if you are a UK seller and you do sell out into European marketplaces, I would recommend that you move the IOSS section down to either above or below the Multi-Market Analyser. So just go into your preferences and drag and drop it wherever it is that you want, save, and then you'll have those sections together. It just makes sense to do that. Now the Multi-Market Analyser, as a recap, is where you're going to get an insight into the key information for this item in other marketplaces. So the information that we're seeing here, for example, in terms of the price, is the buy box price for the item in that marketplace. And if we hover over that, we can potentially see, if Keepa shares that data with us, more information about said item if we hover over that point. We'll also see the BSR for the item in that marketplace. And if we were to sell for this price right here, we will be given an insight into the profit and ROI we would achieve. Please bear in mind the profit and ROI that we see here, just like how we have it in the competition analysis, is based on generic figures for specific fees and costs and so forth. And for an accurate profit and ROI that is fully correspondent with everything we want it to take into account, we need to always check the details section, but this will give us a rough idea of what to expect. So we'll have however many rows here, dependent on if the item is available in that marketplace. So where we have hyphens, that will basically be because the item doesn't exist in that marketplace. Sometimes it's because Keepa requires us to be on that specific marketplace in Amazon in order for that data to populate. But as I say, typically most of the time it's because the item doesn't exist in that marketplace. This can be for multiple reasons, simply because Amazon just do not stock the item full stop in that marketplace, or it could be that it's a relatively new item and it's making its way around the marketplace. Sometimes Amazon will introduce that same product to different marketplaces at different times, so that's something to bear in mind. Just because it doesn't exist in, say, like Canada at this point, doesn't mean to it doesn't mean to suggest that it will never be a thing in the Canadian marketplace. Now something quite cool that we have in this section is the exchange rates right here. Now this is updated hourly, fresh information hourly. Okay, so we can see how the pound translates to a dollar, how it translates to euros, Canadian dollars, and obviously this will change dependent on what marketplace you are currently in. If we go over to the flag and we click that, we can see a Keepa chart for the item. Now, of course, we can go ahead and look at the sales charts in BuyBotPro, but whilst we are here, and if we want a bit more of an insight into the item fluctuations, consistencies, inconsistencies, we have a little Keepa chart there, and it will stick with us until we click onto another one, or if we go somewhere else and click off of it. Something else that we can do with this is if we click on the row anywhere else. So if we went here, for example, it opens up the item on that specific marketplace, so we can go ahead and do a full analysis. And as I say, this is great to use with the IOSS section. Again, this only applies to you if you are a UK seller selling out into Europe. So IOSS, the international one-stop shop. Obviously, there's going to be differences with aspects like VAT rates and so forth in other marketplaces, so we need to be wary of this, and we need to know what the difference is going to be to us, what it's going to cost us. Okay, so without this we'd be going in blind, and if we were just to assume that selling in another marketplace would be exactly the same, we would be wrong, because it's not going to be the same. Without this kind of information, affecting our judgment, it might be that we would then sell the item in, say, the French marketplace, and actually it would be a loss if we did it in that marketplace because of extra costs or whatnot. So it's something that we do need to factor in if we are considering selling in another marketplace. Now, we do have all manner of marketplaces here, so all of the European countries there. We have the VAT rate, so what that percentage is and how much that's going to be exactly, so how much it's going to cost us. And then this will be the profit after that rate, of course, is factored in. So it's important to note we can search for a specific marketplace, and what's more, if we go into our BuyBotPro settings and we go down to customize IOSS settings, what we can do is we can choose whether or not we are going to have certain marketplaces in there, and we can also add our own. So maybe there's another country that we want to have in there, maybe we know the VAT rate, we can go ahead and add that in, just add, and you can add as many in as you want, and that will appear in the table as well. But that is how we can customize the IOSS section. So, using both hand in hand, if, say, we were to look at, just as an example here, the French marketplace, we might think, oh, yep, that looks pretty good. Maybe we can sell there. And then, of course, we can go ahead and find France here and the VAT information that's relevant to that marketplace. And we know what to factor in when making the judgment of if we're going to sell it in that marketplace. So the two go hand in hand very well and give us more insight into these other countries, into these other marketplaces, without us actually having to go anywhere. And of course, if we need to go somewhere, it's very easy just by tapping anywhere in that row, and it'll take us to that specific product in that specific marketplace. Hopefully this helped, and thank you for watching.